another beautiful day to be a Raider, draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield, I represent the swords. It's that time of night again, Raider Nation, and you come back. Why? Because it's time. It's time to bring them. What's up, Raider Nation? I am the Commish, coming to you live, as always, from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Deep behind the enemy line, it's another Silver and Black Theater on a Black Friday, as we jump in our Silver and Black time machine and take another trip back in time as we relive past glory. And of course, this week, we got the Rain City Bitch Pigeons in London. So we're going to go back in time to a previous Bitch Pigeon Beatdown for your Black Friday viewing pleasure.
At the standings, of course, Seattle firmly entrenched in the #1 spot. But the bottom there, you look at the Oakland Raiders, and this is why this game is so big, John. A win today and a loss by Kansas City. Next week's game here at home against Kansas City could be for #1 and will be for #1. Oakland has won the toss. Linda Mare will kick it away. Jacoby Ford, who will get his first NFL start, will start things off at the 3. They come with a fake reverse. A little trickery. First penalty flag of the day as Ford works out to the 23-yard
Thank you for joining us on a Raider Reaction Black Friday. Another presentation of Silver and Black Theater presented by yours truly, the Commish. As tonight, we have 2010 Seattle, the Rain City Bitch Pigeons at the Oakland Raiders.
And there's a look at Jason Campbell. This is his 5th start as a Raider. He is 2-2. Boy, he had a career game last week, a 127.9 quarterback rating versus Denver. That's a career high.
And for this offensive line of the Raiders, the left side with the rookie Veldir and Robert Gallery, that's the strength of this offensive line.
Play action out of his own end zone. Campbell gets away from one man. In trouble, pushed out of bounds just inside the 10-yard line. Aaron Curry pushed him late. The fans want the flag. And a look at the defensive line for the Seattle Seahawks. Kentwan Balmer will start for Brandon Mebane, who has an injured calf. Seahawks defense ranked very tough against the run, #2 overall in the NFL. Hawthorne to Chuku Curry. Very solid, very active, can get around the ball. Very impressed with Earl Thomas. Some key red zone interceptions. He's got 4 that leads all NFL rookies. 2nd and 11, a loss of 1. It's complete out to about the 16-yard line. That's Zach Miller. Miller with touchdown passes in 4 of the last 5 games, and really a resurgence for Jason Campbell. Last game we did here, John, week 2 against the Rams, he was pulled in that game, fought his way back to the starting role.
Yeah, and I thought it was really important. Hugh Jackson, Tom Cable, they all urged Jason Campbell prior to the game in Denver to just go out and cut it loose, and that's what it looked like he did on the field. He had fun, he cut it loose, and he played very, very well.
Dropped by Miller. You won't see that very often. Would have been close to the first down. I think he may have picked it up. But it'll bring on the punt team for the Raiders.
See Zach Miller, and as you said, Ronnie, that's not a sight you see too often. Zach Miller, a very sure-handed receiver at the tight end position. And it's interesting they came out and came to Zach Miller twice in that first drive. They're injured at wide receiver. Lewis Murphy out. 2 young receivers, unproven really on the outside. I'd expect them to lean on Zach Miller heavily here today.
Leckler, the 2nd leading punter in the NFL. Booms one. This is Golden. Tate almost broke that wave, got it out to about the 32-yard line. And we'll talk about the Seattle Seahawks. The man right there, Matt Hasselbeck, the last 2 games versus Oakland. No interceptions and a 103.3 quarterback rating. That's out of a possible 158.3. Marshawn Lynch brought in a trade with Buffalo. He has been outstanding. The offensive line has been solid. Tyler Columbus will replace Okung at the left tackle spot. First play, first pass, in trouble. Hasselbeck goes down. Tommy Kelly. 3.5 sacks on the year for Kelly. And on the other side, the Raider defense, Houston, that's the rookie. He'll go next to Seymour, Kelly, and Trevor Scott. Rolando McClain, the first-round pick out of Alabama. He will find the football. Very solid secondary. They are ranked 5th in the NFL against the pass. They'll go to the ground game, and that's Lynch. Lynch battling his way just to get beyond the line of scrimmage. That is the hometown guy here. Born and raised in Oakland. Went to Oakland Tech High School. A Cal graduate. Trying to put it on for the family here.
And Marshawn Lynch is one of their newest acquisitions to the Seattle Seahawks as we see him coming off the field. But as I mentioned in the open, he's brought a toughness to this football team. You're not going to see him get tackled by the first defender too often.
3rd and 14. Forsett checks in for Lynch. Pressure again. Down goes Hasselbeck again. Richard Seymour. 3 plays, 2 sacks, a loss of 8, and it's time to punt.
Let's watch Richard Seymour working against left guard Ben Hamilton, and he just goes with the straight bull rush. Ben Hamilton tries to get him and corral him from the top, and he kind of rolls into Matt Hasselbeck. But early on in this game, you're seeing the interior of that Oakland Raiders defensive line dominate the line of scrimmage and get to Matt Hasselbeck.
John Ryan gets it off under a heavy rush. This is Nick Miller at the 25. Great coverage by Seattle's special teams. 54 yards on the punt, only 4 yards on the return. Raider offense coming up.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
So on the first drive, the Raiders went 3 and out. They didn't run the ball once in spite of being the 3rd best rush team in the NFL. Loose ball. And Campbell falls on it. And John, maybe this is what Raider fans talk about, the trick-or-treat part of it.
Yeah, and we're seeing the trick thus far. I mean, this is a team, as I mentioned in the open, was well-oiled machine at Denver last week, clicking on all cylinders, and now they're struggling even to get the snap up. See, Samson Sattelli, it looks like he thinks that Jason Campbell is under center. Meanwhile, Jason Campbell's back there in the shotgun.
Raiders go with a 6 offensive lineman look. Bring in Khalif Barnes. There's a throw outside, and guess what? That's Barnes. Now remember, Barnes is a tackle, comes in as an extra offensive lineman, and there was word that he might catch a pass or two.
Well, I saw him going out on passes versus Denver last week, but Jason Campbell never looked to him. But that's truly just going through your progression, taking with the coverage. And I guarantee you, Khalif Barnes, that's his favorite play in the National Football League. For an offensive lineman to catch a football, that's big-time stuff.
They'll talk about that all year as Barnes picks up 6, brought down by Ness. 39. Malloy up close to the line of scrimmage. He's blitzed lately. They don't bring him, but they bring everybody else, and down goes Campbell. Aaron Curry with the sack and the tackle. That'll bring up 4th down.
You see Will Herring in the middle here bring the initial pressure. Then Aaron Curry As you mentioned, come on.
What's up, Raider Nation? I am the Commish, coming to you live, as always, from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios, deep behind the enemy line. This is another edition of Raider Reaction Black Friday Silver and Black Theater, as we dip back to 2010 for a bitch pigeon beatdown.
Not enough for the first. This is Leckler. Leckler, as I said, the second leading punter in the NFL, booming that one inside the 15 goes Tate.
Every Friday is Black Friday on Raider Reaction, as we present another classic game. So make sure you join in and tune back every Friday for Silver and Black Theater.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
So the Raiders have been all over Matt Hasselbeck early here. 2 sacks in the first possession as you look at Hasselbeck's numbers. Matt Shaughnessy and Bryant check in for the Raiders up front. Lynch going sideways, and he'll lose. Lamar Houston, the second-round pick out of Texas, a loss of 2. For Detroit, game break. Let's go to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Redskins down by 6 late. They pulled Donovan McNabb. First play after they do that, Rex Grossman sacked and fumble. And Dominican Sue takes it in for the score. Pretty much puts it away. A minute and a half to go. Up by 12 are the Lions. Ron?
Would be a big win for the Lions. Lynch will try the left side. Still no place to go. Raiders defense pursuing very well.
Well, right now, what's very clear, Ron, early on, is that this Oakland Raiders defensive line is whooping the Seattle Seahawks offensive line up front. And Seattle better get a hold of that and start winning the line of scrimmage, or they're going to go backwards like they have on these first 2 drives.
A loss of 4 on the play. Lynch, 3 carries, minus 5 yards rushing total. 3rd and 16. Hasselbeck gets this one off. It's complete to Tate, but Tate has a long way to go for the first down, and he won't even be close. Pushed out of bounds by Tyvon Branch, and that will bring on the punt team.
The domination of the line of scrimmage continues as the left tackle Tyler Columbus has a tough time with Lamar Houston coming off the corner. The Raiders are playing with great energy. They carried that over from their win in Denver last week. Ron, we were at their practice on Friday. You could feel an energy that was different from when we were here week 2 against the St. Louis Rams. This team is a confident team, and they're showing it early on.
John Ryan will punt it away at about the 15. Miller will take it up to 32. Makes a cut, still on his feet. And Miller out to the 43-yard line. Brought down by David Hawthorne. A pickup of 12 on the return. So 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Ball at about the 41-yard line. The first touch of the day here for McFadden, and McFadden will get about 3 or 4.
Well, Ronnie, that's a good direction to go. You look at these first 2 series, Darren McFadden hadn't touched the ball. This guy has been electric. Last week, looked like he was shot out of the cannon as the Raiders go no huddle.
Pick up a 3, 2nd and 7, going deep. Looking for Hayward Bay, and it's incomplete. Nice coverage on the play there. Nate Ness going step for step.
One thing that was very clear when we were at practice on Friday was that they were feeding Darius Hayward Bay on the go route. Now, Nate Ness is a smart young player. He's backed off. And the receiver's got to give Jason Campbell a little more room for air to throw that fade route. When you start 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, you don't give yourself and the quarterback any room for air.
3rd and 7. Campbell looking, throws, complete, and that's a Raiders first down. That's Jacoby Ford, the 4th-round pick out of Clemson, the track star, getting his first NFL start, and he moves the chains, good enough for 13.
Ronnie, we mentioned earlier the ability for Jason Campbell to cut it loose, and part of cutting it loose is using his athletic ability and pocket presence. He steps up in the pocket, he buys time, and Jacoby Ford, when he buys time, eventually comes open. Nice job by Jason Campbell buying time, and by Jacoby Ford creating separation.
Fake to give inside and go outside on the end around to Hayward Bay. Bay inside the 15-yard line. Finally brought down by Malloy, but a pickup of 30.
Let's watch Darius Hayward Bay. They're in a bunch left. They fake to Darren McFadden. He's going to draw attention. Brett Myers, the tight end, comes with the kick out, and there's Darren McFadden going and getting some of that
nice
Seattle
block.
Defensive backfield. Great execution once again by the Oakland Raiders.
Seahawks subbing late now. Ball spotted at about the 12. Campbell will do it on his own. A pickup of 1. Herring pushes him out of bounds. We apologize for technical difficulties. We are here in Oakland, 0-0. Both teams offensively struggling, John, on their first possession.
Well, we got 2 good defenses, and you know this game's going to come down to who dominates, who wins the line of scrimmage, and thus far it's been both defenses. Now Oakland's found a little chink in the armor via converting a 3rd down and the reverse to Darius Hayward Bay.
2nd and 9. McFadden had a hole that closed up rather quickly. And you're talking about the AFC Offensive Player of the Week last week in that performance against Denver, John. 16 carries, 165 yards, a career high.
As you watch Darren McFadden, he's going to start right, but typically you're going to come back left because that's where Valdir and Robert Gallery are. And this is the matchup that I'm so interested to watch. It's strength on strength. You're looking at the number 3 rush offense in the NFL against the number 2 rush defense. It's going to be a great battle.
This is a 3rd and 6. Batted down. Red Bryant, and that's something, John, you saw in the pregame show this morning. The guys were on the field there at Fox talking about if you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up.
See Red Bryant working against Langston Walker. I think it's actually Colin Cole who's going to come up with the deflection. Colin Cole and Red Bryant, two guys that are largely responsible for the run defense being so stout. But they also show they can make some contributions in the pass defense as well.
26 yards off for Janikowski. Movement on the left side.
False start offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
And that's Valdir, John. You were just talking about Valdir.
Well, this is a promising young rookie, and he played outstanding last week. If there's anything he struggles with, 5 false starts, it's the most in the NFL. Now his 6th false start on the season, leading the NFL. His team struggles as well. The Raiders, the most penalized team in the National Football League. Some teams never change when you're talking about the Raiders.
We'll back it up to 31. Pushing it left, but it's already through. So with a nice drive, a nice end around, John. The Raiders' drive stalls, but they salvage 3 points. We're back here in Oakland, 8 plays, 45 yards. Capped off 31-yard field goal by Janikowski, 3-zip Raiders. Leon Washington lit the world on fire earlier in the year with 2 kick returns for touchdowns in the same game. That was against San Diego. Washington hit it about the 28-yard line. Jeremy Ware with the tackle. I'll look at some scores around the NFL. Green Bay holding on. Jacksonville adding to Dallas's woes. And An important one for the Raiders. Kansas City and Buffalo locked up, 37 seconds left in overtime.
Yeah, no one scores right there. That ends up as a tie. You don't see it much in the NFL, but
Michael Huff on that last tackle on the special teams play. This is 1st and 10. Play action. Over the head of a Raider defender. That was the nearest man in the area. That'll bring up 2nd down, Seattle. Before that play, 6 plays, -6 yards on offense.
Big part of that, Ronnie, we talked about it. The Raiders are winning the line of scrimmage, and then outside, they're disrupting the rhythm of this passing game by tight bump coverage. One of the things that's always been consistent with the Raiders. You look outside, Nnamdi Asomugha lined up on Mike Williams. Tight coverage disrupting the rhythm early.
They give to Lynch. Lynch almost found a seam on the right side. A marker goes down late, but the Raider defense continues to pursue quickly to the ball. This is Ed Hockley.
Holding, offense, number 50. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Game break time down to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee.
The Vikings at the Patriots. Adrian Peterson has touched the ball 14 times on the first 19 plays for the Vikings, and it ends up in a touchdown. It's 6-0 right now, pending the extra point. But by the way, Ron and John, Percy Harvin left the field with an injury.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. Ben Hamilton called on that last penalty. They'll switch it up and give to Forsett, and Forsett gets clocked just beyond the line of scrimmage. Richard Seymour, there's a guy that's starting to show up in a pickup of 1.
Yeah, he's showing up, as are his compadres on the defensive line. And you just talk about winning the line of scrimmage. Watch Seymour. Watch these guys. They're just beating them to the punch. They're closing. They're swarming defense, getting hats on the ball. This is impressive defense thus far for the Oakland Raiders.
3rd and 19. Mike Williams at the top of your screen. They try to throw the screen back door. They do. That's Forsett, and Forsett with a nice gain, but he's going to be about 6 yards shy of the 1st down. Jeremy Ware on the tackle. Let's go down to Los Angeles for a quick update on the Kansas City game.
Kansas City and Buffalo. Ryan Suckup on the final tip possible in overtime wins it for the Chiefs. 13-10 the final. Buffalo still winners. Ron?
So Kansas City will improve their record. 5-2. Make it just a little bit harder for the Raiders to reach the top spot. Nick Miller back deep and received the punt. A huge punt by Ryan. That ball went all the way back to about the 11-yard line. Call it 53 yards on the punt. Ben Obamanu hustling down for the tackle.
That's one thing that you'll see from these Seattle Seahawks are outstanding special teams. Brian Schneider, their special teams coordinator, is someone that Pete Carroll long coveted, but this is a team that made over 220 transactions. A lot of those would improve the depth of their team in special teams, and it's really paid off.
Barnes checks back in at that extra offensive lineman position. McFadden looking for the cutback. A nice job of not letting him have it. That's Lofa Tatupu.
I tell you, Ronnie, if you like defense early on here today, you like this football game. You're seeing a lot of penetration from both defensive and defensive lines. You're seeing linebackers in the backfield. The defense on both sides clearly dominating the line of scrimmage early.
Down to 10. Quick inside throw, the slant. It's there for a nice gain. That's Darius Hayward-Bay working on Nate Ness. That's a pickup of 7, John, and all week long you hear about the Raiders' speed and how would the Seahawks match up with it on the perimeter.
Nice job by Darius Hayward-Bay setting up Nate Ness with a little move outside. Now, you're so conscious with the Raiders of the go route. You set up that go and you come inside on the slant. Good route and good delivery by Jason Campbell.
Third down 3. McFadden looking for 3 yards. Hit it in the backfield. He picks up 1. Lawyer Malloy, a guy who's been very active coming down the pipe and getting in on the run action.
Lawyer Malloy, watch him right here come in, and I like that kind of play from a safety. Go take it in the backfield. Lawyer Malloy in his 15th year, he's hit the fountain of youth, because this guy, people say he's back to where he once was. I think he might be playing better than he ever has.
On and off the field last year, he didn't even understand why that was the case. And with Pete Carroll at the helm, he's happy to be back in the mix. This is Leckler running away to Tate. Tate at the 30. Check that though, that's Leon Washington. And Washington going down the sideline, finally pushed out of bounds at about the 25. So they switch it up, take Tate out and put in Leon Washington and come up with 44 yards.
You watch Leon Washington. He's going to field the punt, draw the defense to the left, makes a couple moves, and that's just outstanding running by an outstanding returner. And what an acquisition. You talk about all the acquisitions. They've got acquisitions that are contributing in a big way, and one of those is Leon Washington.
Lynch looking for the corner. A marker goes down. He tries to turn the corner, but he's chopped down. The flag goes down. We'll check that call.
Holding. Offense number 32. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's going against Quinton Ganther. John, you were talking about the key additions. Marshawn Lynch and a trade Mike Williams brought in as a free agent this offseason. And the list goes on, but what it's turned into is better production on the field.
Oh, absolutely. And you talk to Pete Carroll, he's 223 coming into this game. He says, listen, this wasn't a gimmick. We wanted to get better. And the central theme, competition. When you talk to the Seahawks, it's always about competition. Competition at every position. When you look at the list of those names, those are some of the most important players on this team weren't here last year.
After the penalty, 1st and 20. Hasselbeck sacked again.
Let's watch Tyvon Branch. Just worked a little A-gap blitz, gets by Marshawn Lynch. I got to tell you, up front, in the run game, in the pass game, the Seattle Seahawks better wake up, because the Oakland Raiders are bringing it and giving it to them right now. Total domination by the Raiders defense.
3 sacks on the day against Hasselbeck, a loss of 8. Put it on the ground. That's Forsett. Churning his feet. We'll stop at about the 41-yard line and pick up of about 4. And that will be the end of the first quarter. The Raiders up 3-0. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. Start the second quarter here in Oakland. A 3rd and long for the Seahawks. Raiders showing blitz. They bring it, man-to-man coverage. And it's dropped. Tate working on Asamoah, and he had the ball but couldn't hold on. That'll bring up 4th down.
Watch the pressure. Raiders load up that box. That's one thing they've been doing of late. More aggressive outside. We talk about the press coverage. Against press coverage, you got to win. Matt Hasselbeck delivers a good ball. Golden Tate's got to find a way to bring that football in.
We saw Asamoah turn around the other way there. Lost that ball for a second. Now the Raiders cover 0 there. No safety in the middle. Let's see that very often. That's Ryan.
The Raiders.
He'll try to kill this one inside the 10. Doesn't quite make it. Fair catch called at about the 12-yard line. 29 yards on the punt. 3-0 Raiders.
Today's game is sponsored by Coors Light, the new Silver Bullet aluminum pint from Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. By Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. And by Unstoppable, November 12th, only in theaters.
Ron Pitts, John Lynch. We're back in Oakland. Ball spotted at about the 13-yard line. It's been all about defense thus far. The Raiders end zone, but did get 3 points. They'll go toss to McFadden. McFadden looking for a lane, cuts it up. And comes up with a nice gain there on first down. Ron Pitts, John Lynch here, and we talk about the defense, John. We expected this type of hard-hitting game, very physical.
Yeah, and clearly the defense on both sides just dominating the football game right now. You see the Raiders go a little up-tempo, trying to get some rhythm as an offense. But both defenses are just really playing good football thus far. You've seen a bunch of 3-and-outs. The Seahawks go four drives, 4 3-and-outs. I mean, you got to put a smile on your face. I love seeing good defense, and really I think it's more of that, a product of that, than bad offense.
Raiders defense able to get to Hasselbeck 3 times. As they'll go for the short yardage play, that's Campbell. Campbell will do it on his own. Let's see if he gets it. Let's see where they mark it. More importantly, yes, Ed Hockley signals first down. And what a road it has been for Campbell. He struggled in that Week 2 game against the Rams, benched halfway through. Gronkowski comes in, John wins the game. Then Week 5, Campbell replaces Gronkowski, pulls out the win versus San Diego, only to struggle again in the loss to San Francisco.
Jason told us, look, I was in a new environment. We had young players. I was trying to do too much. And I think now he's just working within the system, and it's been very productive the last couple of weeks.
Play action going deep, the deep comeback, and it's there. Hayward Bay with the reception over Nate Ness.
You watch Darius Hayward Bay working against the young corner Nate Ness. Again, you got to respect that speed. When they respect the speed, you put on the brakes and you come back for the comeback. And a great ball by Jason Campbell. Good execution by the Raiders.
Look at Bay's numbers there. 1st and 10. They'll go back to the pound game. And that's McFadden. We saw McFadden earlier in the year, and the first thing we noticed on film, John, is that unlike years past, he's running behind his pads, running low.
Oh, he's running behind his pads for sure. Now, when I used to play against Darren McFadden, my eyes used to light up because he was a guy you knew was going to come through that line of scrimmage running high and not really have any oomph behind him. I used to light him up, and now this is a different guy. I mean, he is running behind those shoulder pads. He's got some juice to him, and this is a different player than we've seen in years past.
2nd and 8. Movement by Seattle, and they'll blow it dead. Looked like they got Aaron Curry.
Neutral zone infraction defense, number 59. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
And John, here's another thing that might come into play. The Seahawks on the field defensively a little bit longer now in a tighter game. I think that they haven't been used to that in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I like the adjustment by offensive coordinator Hugh Jackson, too. Trying to go a little up-tempo on the Seattle defense, see if they can find a chink in their thus far solid defense.
2nd and 3, give to McFadden. He'll go nowhere. A guy who doesn't get a lot of pub, David Hawthorne, the outside linebacker, forces a loss of 3.
See David Hawthorne with the great play. If you look at the run defense thus far, you're seeing a lot of secondary and linebackers in the backfield. That means that the defensive line, Lofa Tatupa right there in the backfield, defensive line, Red Bryant, Colin Cole, they're doing their job being stout up front, allowing their defensive backs and linebackers to make plays.
It's 3rd and 6 throw. It's high, but Ford comes down with it. Looks to be shaken up a bit, but he'll move the chains.
Watch the slant throw. Jason Campbell's going to take a hit from Chris Clemens. Let's watch Jacoby Ford on the slant. Goes in there strong.
We'll check on Ford when we come back. So the Raiders medical staff attends to Ford. And you see on the right, Louis Murphy, he is out today. Nick Miller a little shaken up from practice, a little thin. Play action, looking deep. It's not there. They check it down to McFadden. McFadden with a nice move. McFadden works inside the 40-yard line. I'll pick up a 14.
Very nice job by Jason Campbell. We're going to see a little play action. Then he's going to look to get the ball downfield. He looks, he holds, nothing's there. Then get the ball to your athletes in space. Darren McFadden's one of your athletes. He makes people miss. You look at him. He's working the ball downfield. Then he knows where Darren McFadden is. That's always a good solution. Get the ball to Darren McFadden. He'll make positive things happen.
Raiders with the extra offensive lineman again. McFadden left side. Hit hard at about the line of scrimmage. That's Curry, and you talked about the wide receivers. Ford, a fast guy, but a rookie. Didn't get a lot of experience there. And you can see how the wide receivers round out.
Now, it's a team that struggles. First of all, they're injured with Murphy. Now Ford goes down. It's a team that struggles to get the ball to the receivers. The lowest production from wide receivers in the league. Only 43 receptions from the receivers this year.
Zach Miller lifts off the field. We'll check on him in a 2nd and 9. That one floated out of bounds. Intended for Johnny Lee Higgins, who is subbing for Ford. Let's go for a game breakdown to Los Angeles and Kirk Menefee.
Patriots and Vikings, direct snap to Danny Woodhead. A little trickery going on for the Patriots, and they get their first touchdown of the game from 3 yards out to even the count at 7 apiece early in the second quarter. Ron John and Michelle.
All right. Thank you very much, Kurt. Tight game. Back there with 3rd and 9 here with 9:30 to go in the first half. Brandon Myers subs in for Miller. And they'll give it to Michael Bush. And Bush now, there's a reason he's pushing the pile like that, John. He goes about 6'1", 245.
Yeah, and there's a reason the Raiders are running the football. Fans at home might be saying, 3rd and 9, why are you running? Well, the Seattle Seahawks have been so good on 3rd down, but they've been coming with nickel and dime packages. They've got seven defensive backs on the field. What do you do as an offense? I think it's smart. You run the football right down their throat, and you get them out of that nickel and dime and say, if you're going to come with that, we're going to come with this, and it's just a cat and mouse game.
4th and 1, and the Raiders want to get a timeout here and talk this over. At first, they looked like they were going to go for it. We'll be back.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty.
4th and 1. Pass to the fullback. Reese, he's got it, and he's gone. Touchdown, Raiders.
I got to be honest, Ronnie, when you're on 4th and 1, and I see them throwing a slant to Marcel Reese, your fullback, I'm saying, what are you doing? But let's look back a little, and those folks up in the Washington area will probably be familiar with this. A receiver at University of Washington, a converted receiver to fullback, and he used those skills right there very well.
He does, the former Washington Husky with his 3rd touchdown of the year. What a gutsy call. A great play. Raiders on top. 12 plays, 87 yards. And the fullback, Reese, they thread the needle to the fullback on 4th and 1 and get paid. Janikowski will kick it away to Leon Washington. Oh, that one's going up to Sacramento. He pounded that one. Let's go back to the replay.
And you watch Marcel Reese is already motioned out. They talked to Jason Campbell before last week's game about cutting it loose. Well, Ronnie, I think that's cutting it loose.
Yeah.
That's about as tight as window as you're going to have. You got Laura Malloy all over the outside. David Hawthorne coming from the inside. And just an outstanding catch by Marcel Reese. A gutsy call by the Raiders, and it paid off in the form of a touchdown.
First and 10 for the Seahawks. Lynch getting closer to breaking things out. Tried the left side there and almost got out. Tyvon Branch is able to round him up, but he picks up 4. And this offense has been struggling. You see the 4 drives, 4 3-and-outs.
Yeah, and you know, they've made one adjustment. They've just put Chester Pitts in at left guard for Ben Hamilton. We talked about the Raiders dominating the line of scrimmage. This is a guy that they're very hopeful can add some punch to that offensive line.
Second down and 6, play action, and that's complete. That's Chris Baker, the backup tight end. He'll be about a yard shy of the first down. He picks up 5. John, you mentioned Chester Pitts. Pitts out the first six games recovering from knee surgery, and it's part of the changes that this team has gone through, not just offensively, but throughout the entire team. They have not been afraid to shuffle the roster around.
No, and they feel pretty good because of all those changes that they have 4 wins stacked up, because they're still learning what everyone does well.
3rd and 1. Lynch shut down. Penetration, but a nice force there by the linebacker Quentin Groves helps stop up the play, and that brings up 4th down.
It's Lamar Houston, left defensive end, that's going to whoop his man, get in the backfield, and just has a solo tackle, and then he gets some help from Rolando McClain. Outstanding defense continues for the Oakland Raiders.
5 possessions, 5 3-and-outs. Nick Miller back deep to receive the Ryan punt. Not a good kick. Miller with a bold catch right in a man's face. He'll go down at about the 32-yard line. The Raiders came out to slug it out, and they're up early, 10-zip. Tonight it's game 4 of the World Series as the Giants look to regain momentum and take a 3-1 lead, while the Rangers try to win 2 straight and tie the series at 2 apiece. Coverage of game 4 of the World Series begins tonight after football in high definition right here on Fox. And the matchup tonight, Bumgarner going against Tommy Hunter in Texas.
Ronnie, you know what the Seahawks need right now? They need a Mitch Moreland home run to get them back in this game. Something to wake them up.
1st and 10 Raiders. Put it on the ground. They'll try the left side there by Bush. Let's go for a quick game break down in Los Angeles. Kurt Menefee.
Tennessee at San Diego. Chris Johnson showing speed and strength on this run. He fades a couple of Charger tacklers, and then watch the block by Vince Young downfield to help spring him. Oh, he breaks a couple of tackles along the way as well. 29 yards on the score. His 8th rushing touchdown leads the league, and it's a 1970 Tennessee lead. Ron and John.
All good news if you're a Raider fan, as the Chargers continue to struggle. A loss of 1 on the last play. Play is stopped.
False start offense, number 45. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
That's Marcel Reese. John, head coach Tom Cable, the Raiders, talked about that step-on-your-throat mentality. And so far, the Raiders have shown it.
You look at this, Ronnie, you talk about that step-on-your-throat mentality. Part of the Seattle Seahawks' new defense under Pete Carroll, it's a 3-4 look. You got 3 defensive linemen, 2 outside backers, Curry and Clemens. It brought some 2-gap to this defense, and it's been very effective for them.
2nd and 16, pump and go. They go to the deep comeback. You know, they need to change his position title. That's Marcel Reese again, and you mentioned former wide receiver there at Washington, and he's showing why. A pickup of 9 yards. Let's go down to Nichelle Turner.
Hey guys, yeah, you know, we're looking at wide receiver Jacoby Ford. We were told he has a bruised knee, but as soon as I was given that information, guys, he grabbed his helmet and he was ready to go back in the game. So he's in there, he's back.
Michelle on 3rd and 7.
False start, offense, number 12. 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
And there's Ford. Went back in. Wasn't quite ready to play yet, I guess.
Can't blame that on the knee.
Ford, the rookie out of Clemson. Jason Campbell was joking the other day. He said Ford, along with Nick Miller, he called those two guys our little Smurfs. They're both 5'9". Ford actually listed at 5'10". Ford, a track star out of Clemson, a national 60-meter champion this senior year. Check down throw, that's Bay. And Bay hit hard there. Lewis coming up for the tackle, and a little extra down on the Raider sideline, and the marker goes. They had to pull Clemens away. You mentioned that Robert Gallery had kind of gotten his puff and stuff back.
Yeah, he's playing a little nasty, and that's when he's at his best. And Chris Clemens is going to get a personal foul for pushing Robert Gallery here. He lost his cool here on the sidelines.
After the play was over, personal foul. Unnecessary roughness defense, number 91. 15-yard penalty and an automatic 1st down.
Yeah, well, Gallery's hit was legal, but they popped Clemens for the push afterward.
And his coaches will tell him on Monday, it's always the second guy that gets caught, and that's a critical mistake. You're off the field right there. They're bringing in Shane Leckler to punt, and Chris Clemens makes a mistake like that. You can't do it. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. See defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. You can't be too happy with Chris Clemens.
So a timeout called. Jason Campbell will want to talk this one over. I was talking earlier about what Campbell has gone through, and had that San Francisco game a couple weeks ago where he looked terrible, injured his knee in the game, had an all-time low quarterback rating of 10.7 for him. And of course, in Raider fashion, I guess, he comes right back out against the Denver Broncos the next week and lights it up.
Well, and it helps when you run the football for 328 yards. And Darren McFadden told us, he said, we think we helped Jason along because that took a lot of the pressure off him, but he played a very efficient game, and you're seeing him here today. We talked about the low production from the Raiders receivers, only 43 catches. To put that in perspective, 126 from the Denver Broncos going into this week. But what's he doing today? He's feeding the receivers.
12 men in the huddle by the offense, illegal substitution. That occurred before the timeout. Therefore, there's a 5-yard penalty.
All right, Ed Hockley explaining the lingering in the huddle rule, extra substitution, they call that. Go ahead, John.
But Jason Campbell, I mean, whatever Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator, and Tom Cable said to him before that last game in terms of cutting it loose, you're seeing it transfer to the field, and that's a positive sign for the Oakland Raiders.
There is no timeout charge. Due to the penalty, there will be no timeout charge. Oakland still has one timeout left. I'm sorry, they've used one timeout. Oakland has 2 remaining.
Okay, so Ed Hockley clearing that up. We add the extra timeout. You can see it on the Fox box there on the right-hand side, the 2 dots. 1st and 15. McFadden for 4 on the left side.
That's Darren McFadden.
See Darren McFadden at the end of that run. We talk about running behind your pads, taking the pile with them. And I find it really interesting. Here was a guy that wasn't known for yards after contact. He's now leading the NFL in yards after contact. Over 3 yards per carry in yards after contact. Playing some outstanding football.
Second and 11, give to McFadden again. Maybe 2. They'll call it 3 officially. Will Herring on the tackle.
This is where, if you're the Raiders, you want to stay out of these situations. We've talked about how proficient Seattle has been in 3rd and long situations. Now they're in a 3rd and long, and that's where you're going to see this creativity from Gus Bradley and Pete Carroll. Their nickel and dime, they call it their bandit is their dime situation, 7 DBs, and they come from everywhere. We'll see if the Raiders can pick it up. Here's all those guys right here.
3rd down and 8. Pressure. Campbell getting away from it. No place to throw. then runs out of bounds. He's hit out of bounds there right before he got out by Cam Chancellor. No markers are thrown, and it's going to bring up 4th down. Jordan Babineau had the early pressure.
What these nickel looks have been doing, I mean, you just see it's like kind of an amoeba defense. You have no idea where they're going to come. Gus Bradley's been doing a great job of changing it up, and it's Jordan Babineau who comes free this time. Doesn't deliver on the sack, but again, they get off the field on 3rd down. The 3rd down defense has been excellent for Seattle of late.
That technically, officially, is called a sack by Chancellor, a loss of 3. Leckler will come on to punt it away. Golden Tate is deep. Wow, this one will die at about, nope. Looked like he put his hand up. I thought that was a fair catch call. Hiram Eugene makes the tackle.
You know what Golden Tate was doing? He was blocking the sun like a baseball player would, but it did appear to be a fair catch signal. If you watch his right hand, he's going to put it up to block the sun. It's a very sunny day here.
Oh, no, you can't get away with
that should be a penalty.
And John, I know from experience, because I returned punts.
It was legal. The fair catch signal is this.
Okay, yeah, he's got it. I'll just say this, and that's a great explanation by Ed Hoffuli. Anytime you put it up, they may call you for it, wave or not. So, but that is a great explanation, and he explained it. It wasn't waved, but I've seen it called when it wasn't waved. So Seattle will take over, ball at about the 20. Play action, the long corner route, and that's John Carlson, the tight end. And Carlson, who set a club record for catches back in 2008 by a tight end, finally gets involved in a first big play on offense, I think, today for the Seahawks to pick up a 36
What's up, Raider Nation? I am the Commish, coming to you live as always from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Deep behind the enemy line. This is Raider Reaction Black Friday, Silver and Black Theater, as we're dipping back all the way to 2010. Bitch Pigeons at Raiders as we get ready for hopefully a London beatdown.
Trying again, going deep from Mike Williams. And just out of reach. Had double coverage on him. Huff along with Robert.
But I like that from Jeremy Bates, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, and Matt Hasselbeck. You want to back these defensive backs up, throw deep. And sometimes a play like that, although not successful, can have a great effect moving forward.
That pass to Carlson was the first down of the day for the Seahawks. Before that play, they only had 12 yards of total offense. Coming up to the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 10. Marker down, backdoor throw, Tate has it. He's down inside the 20-yard line, but this one could be coming back.
The 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
You got to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And that negates the 26-yard play, and that is the 2-minute warning. Seahawks threatening the score.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible.
First-year head coach Pete Carroll, he's improved the talent, and he's taken care of the football. As you look at his resume there, and that has made a big difference on this team. But they're in a dogfight today, as we were just under the 2-minute warning. 2nd and 15. Going backside, and it wasn't even there. Asamoah working on Obamanu, and he was all over.
Let's watch Nnamdi Asamoah, one of the best, and probably the best bump and run corner in the National Football League. You watch him, his technique, and staying square. He knows Bim Obanamu is going to come inside. He sits in there and says, come on, buddy, come on in here. And that's one of the things that makes him so great. He has the physical skills, but it's the preparation, the work he does Monday through Friday that sets him up for Sunday.
Incomplete, intended for Forsett.
You know, and Ron, a great illustration on that play. We talked to Pete Carroll, Jeremy Bates. They all are very intrigued with Golden Tate's talent. They said 2 weeks ago we had to pull him back a little bit because he was making 4 or 5 mistakes every 20 plays. And, well, that last second down play, what a great illustration. He makes the play downfield, but it's called back because he doesn't line up right. It's the trouble of playing young players.
Ryan will punt it away to Nick Miller. Angles this one to the sideline. They'll try to kill it inside the 10. Great stop by the coverage team. That's Lewis. He hustles down and gets all over it. Well, coming up, it's the Visa halftime report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have all the scores and highlights from around the league. Plus, they'll talk about the Jets. Can they continue to roll on? And, oh, the Cowboys are a mess. Wait, you want to play the Cowboys right now, huh?
They're lining up to play them. I mean, Tony Romo out. Jacksonville goes in there. What did David Garrard have? David Garrard put on a show against those Cowboys.
5 touchdowns, 4 passes, ran for 1. He's trying to get that Player of the Week award. 1:42 left, 2 timeouts for the Raiders. They bounce out McFadden using that stiff arm and the speed. Pickup of about 7 or 8, finally brought down by Cox. And look at early game headliners. There you go, Garrard, boy. Now, a couple weeks ago, John, they were talking about making that full-time change with him at quarterback. They weren't happy.
You're talking about hot or cold. The Raiders being hot or cold. David Garrard, he can look awful, but he can light it up as well.
That will improve the Jaguars' record to 4-4. Pickup of 7 on that last play. Nice play there. In the backfield, he was able to get out for 1 extra. Clemens got a hold of him and a timeout called. There's an injured Seahawk. Red Bryant.
That's their first.
The injured Seahawk will try to see what happened there.
What happens? Watch Chris Clemens here.
Guys, let's back up.
Watch Red Bryant here. Chris Clemens going to come dive and try to make the tackle on Darren McFadden. Ends up folding right up on Red Bryant. It's the worst thing that can happen to a defensive lineman. And Red Bryant has been so excellent for these guys. He was a defensive tackle last year. Pete Carroll brought him in and said, we're going to move you outside to our 5 technique. And talk about their run defense. One guy is most responsible for it. It's Red Bryant. And a guy they can ill afford to lose. It's a little funny talking to Red Bryant this week. He said about the move, when Pete Carroll first came to me, I thought they were getting ready to cut me. Usually if they move you to another position, that means you're on your way out the door. Well,
yeah.
Just hope that, I'm sure Pete Carroll is hoping that Red Bryant is indeed okay.
Seahawks fans already know this. He is the son-in-law of former Seahawk great Jacob Green. The defensive line for the Seahawks. But they've got Bryant up and helping him off. Let's right now go to Los Angeles for a quick update. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Arizona and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Aqib Talib, his 4th pick of the year, takes this one back 45 yards for a score and breaks a tie, putting the Bucs up in Arizona 21-14. They send him back to Oakland. Ron, John, and Michelle.
A little bit of a resurgence for your Bucs there, John. And boy, this is not good news as they struggle to get Bryant off the field. That would, down as you've already alluded to, would be a key loss.
It'd be a huge loss, and it doesn't look promising right now. But we'll see if Red Bryant can come back. But you talk about the best team in the NFC, Raheem Morris out in Tampa. He's laying claim to that. Well, he came out this week and said, we're the best team in the NFC. And I love it. Put some confidence in you guys. I don't think it's true.
Greg Terrell will come in the sub for Red Bryant. 3rd and short. Going deep. He's got a man, Bay. And Bay has it. No, he did not hold on. Well, you can see that sudden burst. Bay turning on the speed.
Watch Hayward Bay. Really good play by Kennard Cox, bringing his arms right through Darius Hayward-Bay, and you're going to see Jason Campbell take a hit from Chris Clemens.
So Leckler will punt it away. Leon Washington, who had a big return in the first quarter, will go back deep. Another great kick by Leckler. Wow, plenty of room though for Washington. Gets a block, he's around the corner. And can't quite turn the corner for good. Gets down to the 45, 46 yard line. Great return of 20 yards. 61 yards on the punt by Leckler. Stevie Brown on the tackle. You got to have a punter. The Raiders have always had one. John, you think back in the day, it's Ray Guy, right?
And now they got a pretty darn good one in Shane Leckler, always at the top of his game. Talk about their lack of consistency. That's one thing that's always a constant for the Raiders, is Shane Leckler is going to be over in Hawaii at the end of the year.
So here's the hurry-up scenario, 40 seconds, 2 timeouts. Seahawks need to get some points on the board. The corner route, and there's a money man. Brandon Stokely didn't think that Stokely was going to go. An injured oblique. That's the muscles on the side of your body there. You know, when you're in really good shape, you have those down. I don't have any. That's good for 13 yards.
You know, and really important for the Seahawks that they get points on the board here. We got a 2-score lead right now for the Oakland Raiders, and this is frankly where Matt Hasselbeck is at his best. 2-minute, always one of the top 2-minute quarterbacks, and it's because he gets people out, he works at an up-tempo. That's what Matt Hasselbeck likes.
The quick throw, and it's complete. That's Forsett. And Forsett, as Huff tries to rip the ball out about a yard shy of the first. A timeout called by Seattle.
Watch Matt Hasselbeck. He grew up as a young quarterback in Green Bay under Brett Favre. This kind of looks like Brett Favre, huh? Throw from any angle. Good job of getting the ball out to Justin Forsett. See the Seahawks now up here with 1 timeout left. 28 seconds. Important they at least get 3 on the board here. They've got the kicker to do it. Lindo Mari has been perfect this year. 9 of 9.
30 consecutive field goals dating back to September of last year. Hit 5 last week in the win over Arizona. Actually hit 9, but penalties called him back. 2nd and 1. Raiders bringing up blitz. Nobody in the secondary. Deep. Thrown up. Caught. No. Out of bounds. Man-to-man coverage. No safety deep. That was Tate working on Ware.
Let's watch Golden Tate. Good ball by Matt Hasselbeck. Got the one-on-one coverage. Right foot down, left heel out. Then right foot down. Be interested to see if that right toe is down prior to the heel. This has got to come from the booth. Now, I guarantee if Pete Carroll had the opportunity to, he would challenge it.
Third and 1. The stop route, that one's a little high. Going to Tate again. Boy, Hasselbeck does not look happy. Branch there in the area. And that will bring on a field goal attempt from Mare. This is 51 yards out. You see the comments made last year by former head coach Jim Moore. He's been pretty good since. Yeah, that one's not going to make it, and that will be the first miss of the season for Mare.
It's his first miss since our colleague here at Fox, Jimmy Moore, the old Seahawks coach. Mare and Jess kind of this week said, I think I should thank Jim Moore, because since he made those comments after the Bears game last year, I've been perfect.
Well, John, he hit from 51 last week up in Seattle, along with 4 others. He's got the leg, has proven that one, but nonetheless, the Raiders will take over. 15 seconds left. They'll kneel on it. The fans don't like it. But with a 10-zip lead, Tom Cable says we'll take this on into the half. A very physical half on both sides. And 10-zip Raiders Sunday, Fox NFL Sunday will continue with the Visa Halftime Report coming your way right after these messages. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. And we are ready to start the second half. Ron Pitts, John Lynch, and Michelle Turner down on the field. And John, I think this is exactly what Tom Cable has talked about all week long, really all year long, that step on someone else's throat mentality for his team. They've come out and they've really hit the Seattle Seahawks in the mouth early.
Well, and his defense has been spectacular. They've been taking that mentality and putting it to work on the field. The Seattle Seahawks, 8 possessions, 2 first downs, 6 punts.
Right.
More punts than first downs. That's not a good thing. If I'm Seattle, I think you got to find a way to get some offense going. I think you've got to go up tempo. That's what your quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, likes. Go up tempo and try to establish some rhythm.
Meanwhile, the Oakland Raiders have been able to hold on to the football, too. The time of possession, as you'll see right there, is a little bit lopsided.
Just a little bit.
So Leon Washington is back deep to receive the Janikowski kick, and really the only fireworks on special teams thus far have come from Washington. He took a punt back for a nice gain in the first quarter. 44 yards, mishandles that one, and comes up the field late and gets planted.
That's number 25.
That's Rock Cartwright with the tackle. Let's go down to Michelle Turner.
Well, first off, guys, we want to tell you that Seahawks defensive end Red Bryant's return is doubtful. He has a right knee injury. It's a blow to the defensive line. But Coach Carroll talked to me about his offensive line. He said these guys have got to protect better. 69 total yards is just not going to get it. Now, Coach Cable, on the other hand, said his guys have got to settle down on defense. He told them at halftime, keep your foot on the pedal and step on their throats. He believes his team's learning how to win. Back to you.
Play action. That's complete to the tight end, Carlson. Carlson, John, if you recall, had a big play there in the second quarter. And you see they're getting back to him here early.
You know, the one thing that has been so good for the Seattle Seahawks these last couple weeks is Mike Williams. 21 receptions for 210. Today, 0. Nnamdi Asomugha, these Raiders corners are doing an outstanding job on Mike Williams.
The run game, it one pops. That's a first down. That's Lynch, and Lynch will pick up the first down for the Seahawks here in the second half. He got 7.
And you remember, if you're the Jeremy Bates, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, you can't deviate from your game plan. You got to stay with that run. You only had 3 yards in the first half running the football, but that's what you've got to do. You got to be who you are. You got to stay after it. It's only a 10-0 football game. You get one score, you're right there.
Obermano and Grant out in the route, and there was a mix-up, John, before they even lined up. That one intended for Obermano. It's incomplete, sails over his head.
Nope.
Mike Williams there is on the bench.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if he's not feeling well, if he's hurt, but we talked about him on the field. Help to figure out what's going on there.
Look at Jeremy Bates, the Seahawks offensive coordinator. Williams, 21 catches in the last 2 games. He has been absolutely on fire, but on the bench now, 2nd and 10. Pressure around the corner. Hasselbeck kicks it off. It's complete, but well shy of the first down. That's Carlson again. So already here in the second half, 2 catches for Carlson. A pickup of 5 yards. Branch on the tackle.
We spoke of the need for John Carlson to step up his game, start winning some one-on-one matchups, and he's done a nice job of that at the end of the first half and working into this second half.
This is a 3rd and 5. Looking for Butler, and it's knocked away. Step for step, man for man, Stanford route, and that'll bring up 4th down.
And if you're Matt Hasselbeck, you got to be real frustrated right now because you're throwing some dimes. You're putting the ball out there for your receivers to make the plays, and yes, there's tight coverage, but this is the National Football League. You've got to win the one-on-ones. Matt Hasselbeck is doing his job. The receivers got to start making some plays for him.
Look at Hasselbeck's numbers. They bring on Ryan. Nick Miller is deep. A nice high punt, a driver. Miller inside the 5. Needs a couple blocks, and instead he got blocked at the 11-yard line. Cam Chancellor, 63 yards on the Ryan punt, 8 yards on the return. And a marker goes down very late at the 21-yard line. Here's Ed Hockley to
62-yard punt, a penalty flag on the play.
tell us what's going on. As you can see, Ed's still in the weight room.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team number 58. That'll be half the distance to the goal. Oakland will keep the ball, 1st down.
That's going against Bruce Davis. They'll go back and we'll be back. 10-0 Raiders.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Dish Network, let's watch TV. By the new Ford Edge, the world has never seen a crossover quite like this. And by Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Junior Ciavi'i will step in at the D tackle position, filling in as they slide down the line with the injury to Red Bryant. McFadden, maybe one. That's David Hawthorne coming up to help out on the tackle. And to speak of another key injury, let's go down to the sideline and Nichelle Turner.
Yeah, Ronnie, you guys were asking about Mike Williams, why he was on the bench. We're told that he has a right knee injury, but we are told he should be back in the game. His return is probable. Back to you.
John, they're just not able to get anything on this Raider defense. Raiders secondary ranked very high, 5th in the NFL in pass defense, and they're showing it today. Second and 7 throw. Defender slipped. That's Bay. And Bay will have an easy 1st down. Trufant slipped down. By the time he got up, it was too late.
You know, I thought Ronnie, Jason Campbell made a really interesting point this week. The Raiders, we've talked about already, have struggled to get production from their wide receivers. They lose Louis Murphy, who is their number 1. And he was positive in the meeting. He said sometimes that causes the whole group to collectively raise their level of play. And you're seeing the receivers make an impact here today.
They get up to McFadden. He's got a hole and then some. Touchdown saving tackle by Kennard Cox.
And Darren McFadden, always an explosive threat. He's been coming close. There's been seams on the left side of this offensive line. Just move people. Robert Gallery, Zach Miller, Langston Walker. It's the unbalanced line. The Raiders will tell you it's the offensive line's job to get Darren to the 2nd level, his to do the rest. He does that very well. Great job by the offensive line. Darren McFadden continuing to show the explosion that makes him so dangerous.
49 big ones as he nears the 100-yard mark. That one tipped coming out. And McFadden, you know, the knock on him, John, the last couple years, only 13 starts in his first 2 years, was that he couldn't stay healthy. And then he ran high and all that kind of stuff. People were, for a while, were calling him Nick Fall Down. But he apparently has gotten all that together. He's a different type of back now.
He really is. And Tom Cable kept stressing, we just need him healthy. We just need him healthy. But I finally got it out of Tom. Even when he is healthy, this is a different guy. He's showing it each and every week.
2nd and 10. Here comes the end around. That's Ford. Gets a block by the quarterback. And it looks to be another Raider 1st down. Hugh Jackson dipping into his Halloween bag of tricks.
and you pound the ball, and then you start to work things off that run. The run, people start focusing on the run. You suck them in with the run. You have Michael Bush hand it off to some speed and Jacoby Ford, and watch Jason Campbell right there on Lawyer Malloy. He's cutting it loose, throwing the football, but also having fun out there on that field. Great job by Jason Campbell.
A pickup of 11. Higgins in short motion. Back to McFadden. And he's shut down quickly.
And Ronnie, you know what I'm starting to see with this team? I'm starting to see them take the personality of their head coach. You look at the defense, more aggressive than you've ever seen the Oakland Raiders, blitzing. On offense, we're going to pound you. We're going to pound you until we break one, and we're going to get the receivers. He said this week, we got to throw the ball more to our outside receivers. This team's playing aggressive, physical football, and good for Tom Cable. He's doing a heck of a job coaching this football team up.
Timeout called by the Raiders. While they talk it over, we'll talk it over. We'll step away. 10-0 Raiders. We're back here in Oakland. 2nd down and 10 after the timeout by the Raiders. Back. Tried to cut it up and ran right into Craig Terrell. It's funny, when you're over at the Raider facility, you watch Tom Cable walk around, and if you're not careful, you'll think he's a practice squad backup offensive lineman or something. I mean, he's a big guy, and he walks around with a t-shirt. He's got the tattoo going, but that's the type of attitude that you slowly see permeating throughout the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Cable from Snohomish up there in north of Seattle.
That's right. This is a 3rd down and 8. Seahawks bring pressure inside. Another tip. We've seen 3 tips today that covered very well in our pregame show. Will Herring got a hand on that one, and that will bring up 4th down. Yeah, he said, you know, I was only 11 years old when the Seahawks began playing there in '76, but I was old enough to know what I liked, and what I liked was the silver and black. This is 36 yards out here from Janikowski. And it's true, boy, that one looked like it could have gone through from 60. So the Raiders continue to pour it on, 13-0 here in Oakland.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL.
9 plays, 76 yards, capped off by the 36-yard field goal by Janikowski. John, you made a great point during the break. That keeps this thing a close game.
Well, Kennard Cox made an outstanding play on the McFadden breakout run. Otherwise, McFadden's going to the house.
Washington with a big hole. Leon Washington almost got out of there. And we'll go back to that tackle by Cox. Kennard Cox saves the touchdown and keeps it only a 13-0 game. Seahawks take over. They've got movement by the Raiders unless they were pulled off.
False start, offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, it's 1st down.
Tyler Columbus pulled him off.
You look at Matt Hasselbeck, he's been extremely frustrated because, as I mentioned earlier, he's been delivering some good balls, and it's up for his receivers to go get these balls. You're going to have tight coverage against the Oakland Raiders. You got to make good on some of these catches. Matt Hasselbeck doing his part. His receivers got to come to the party.
They fake the end around. They give to Lynch. And Lynch for a few. Matt Shaughnessy with the tackle.
If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I put it in Matt Hasselbeck's hands. I know they've been having him kind of as the point guard, as Pete Carroll likes to say it, and letting the players around him. Well, they aren't making plays right now. Put it in Matt Hasselbeck's hands. Go up tempo, go 2 minutes. I'd go no huddle, get people out, and let Matt Hasselbeck go to work. I think that will take away some of the aggressiveness of this Oakland Raiders defense.
We just saw a quick shot there of Jeremy Bates, offensive coordinator, trying to dial something up. 2nd and 13. There's one up top. Is he in? That's Tate. They mark him as in. Yes, it is a catch. Golden Tate working on Jeremy Ware. We've seen that matchup before. And Tate is slow to get up.
And Ronnie, that's exactly what we're talking about. We just showed you a package about the near misses. One-on-one coverage, the receivers have to go make plays. And good job for Golden Tate getting up.
Boy, what a
left
catch.
foot down. Ooh. And right foot down. Outstanding play by Golden Tate.
John, watch his foot, his left foot as it comes down.
Oh. Remember, we already have Mike Williams injured with his knee, and so we've got both receiving cores. It's a mash unit.
And John, you look at the Seahawks on paper, stat-wise, they're ranked 20th in the NFL in pass offense, 27 overall. They don't light it up there. They've won games. The W's have been big for them, and yeah, that's clearly just a straight rollover, the NBA-style rollover on the rebounds, so to speak. And nothing funny about it if it happens to you.
We talk about winning the one-on-ones. This is one guy who's been doing it for them. One was negated by his own penalty, but he's been going up and competing for these balls, and they're hoping that he's okay because he's the one out there competing and winning those one-on-ones.
So Tate, the second-round pick out of Notre Dame, came into the game with 8 catches, limps off. And as my partner just mentioned, that will thin things out in the receiving core. But Mike Williams, as Tate goes off, he checks in. He's at the bottom of your screen.
Matt Hasselbeck is pressing Ed Hockley. He wants to run snaps. He wants to get this thing going.
Goes to the other side. Route is all over it. And they're going to get a marker. Dion Butler was the intended receiver, but they felt Route was a little too close.
Good for Jeremy Bates because it's exactly what we're talking about. They're going to play this press man. I don't care how fast.
Interference, defense number 26. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
I don't care how fast Stanford route is. Dion Butler's pretty fast as well. You put the ball downfield in those one-on-one situations, good things happen, and there is contact there.
Yep.
Great job by Jeremy Bates starting to attack this press coverage.
31-yard play on the... I don't know if you saw it, but Mike Williams just got jammed up. So they couldn't go to that side. Pump and go. Looking for Butler on the other side, and it's not there. For a quick game break, let's go to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Patriots hosting the Vikings, you knew that. But did you know that Tom Brady was this athletic? Watch him escape, roll back, and then find a wide-open Brandon Tate. 65 yards later, it's good for a touchdown, and the Patriot lead 14-10 now in the third quarter. Ron's on in the show.
All right, we'll look at Brady on the day. The first trip into the red zone today for the Seahawks. That's Lynch. Lynch going nowhere. Wait a minute. Play's not over yet. Seymour looked to have an easy loss on the play, but Lynch is mad because he thought he should have scored.
Yeah. You look at the Chicago game, Marshawn Lynch's first game with the Seattle Seahawks, he had 44 yards. It was the most impressive 44 yards I've seen because the interior of this offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks is struggling with penetration. He's making a lot of people miss. They've got to do a better job up front.
You almost saw a glimmer there of beast mode for Lynch. Third and 10, and dropped by Williams.
Boy, Ronnie, we've been talking about it. The near misses, receivers got to win. This isn't even a one-on-one. They get in their bunch. This is something Mike Williams has been doing all year long, and it's just simple. What you would teach a youth football player is don't take your eyes off the football until you have it in, and Matt Hasselbeck continues to be frustrated.
Seahawks now 0 for 9 on third down. This is 29 yards out from Murray. He's got one miss on the day. Missed it. tough day for the Seahawks offense, and in particular that man there, Mike Williams, definitely should have had that last pass.
And Ron, you know what I'm seeing just by his body language? He's getting tough press man coverage, and he's not liking it right now. He's got to wake up and make some plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
You can say it, John. He's getting jammed up. That's what's happening.
True that.
1st and 10. Trying the right side. That's McFadden. And not much there. Lawyer Malloy. Tough customer these days, coming up hard to make the tackle. These two teams used to be divisional rivals in the old AFC West before the Seahawks moved away. Raiders holding the advantage on the Seahawks here at home, 17-9. But the talk all week long here in Oakland is, can the Raiders win back-to-back games? They tease the fan base by having a good game one week and then dropping the ball the next week. 2nd and 11. Play action, throwback screen. There's some time there. That's Reese. Reese with a first and then some. For Reese.
And Ron, I love the play call by Hugh Jackson. You can't just go to being conservative because you're going to have to score. Matt Hasselbeck's starting to heat up here a little bit, so you got to put points on the board. They come with the play action. He looks downfield. It's the screen the entire time. And Marcel Reese, who hasn't looked like a fullback in the pass game today, goes on the 51-yard screen. Wonderful execution once again by Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator in this offense for the Oakland Raiders.
Back to the ground game. That's Michael Bush as they switch it up. Yeah, I think Hugh Jackson is calling like he is preached. He's took his foot off the, or put his foot on the accelerator. He's calling wide open now.
Absolutely. And for the Seattle defense now, you've got to keep it to at least a field goal here. If you keep it to a field goal, you got a 16-0 game, a 2-score game with the 2-point conversions. It's a critical drive here to keep them out of the end zone for the Seattle defense.
6 offensive linemen in the game for the Raiders. Barnes checks in, 2nd and 7. Pressure Curry and forces the throw. Where was he? Did he get out of the tackle box?
Campbell's out of the pocket.
I think he just made it. We're, of course, questioning intentional grounding. Ooh. If he got out, he just got out.
Remember, for those at home, if you're outside of the pocket, there is no intentional grounding so long as you get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. Another smart decision by Jason Campbell. He's been doing that all day long.
This is a 3rd and 7.
See if this pressure package the Seattle Seahawks can get there.
Going up to Miller. And Miller can't hold on. Marcus Trufant on the coverage. Marcus Trufant turns and locates the football. Well, that hit him right in the face, man. That did. May have been tipped. And Nick Miller had a chance to make the play. I'm not sure his feet would have been in even if he had. But good job by the Seattle defense standing up, keeping the Oakland Raiders out of the end zone. Janikowski from 45. Ooh. You can tell by the way that one sounded. That one didn't have a chance.
I think both kickers need Jim Moore. A little motivation.
That's right. Get you fired up.
See his right foot, the plant foot, kind of slip out of there.
Yeah, the second slip was for show, but the first one there coming in, the plant foot, that's the key. It did slip a little bit. So as John, you mentioned earlier, this is still now a close game. It doesn't feel close, I'm sure, to Seahawks fans, but you're talking 13-zip. Seahawks just have to get some points on the board. We're going to have roll action and Butler.
And I can't say it emphatically enough. Your quarterback's starting to heat up. They've had missed opportunities, though. Orlando Mari, the 51-yarder. Mike Williams maybe walking in as big as he is. And then another missed field goal by Orlando Mari. Missed opportunities have been huge, but you're still in this football game, as you just mentioned, Roddy. at this. Nnamdi Asomugha is not going to let up.
And neither is this Raider defense, John. That's Lynch meeting Sean.
He's been playing really good football. He's not listed as a starter, but he's going to be a starter here soon because he's making an impact each and every time he's stepping on that field. Leads the Raiders in sacks, playing at a high level.
A loss of a yard on the play. You see the Seahawks' woes today. You knew when Hasselbeck double clutched that it wasn't going to turn out good, intended for Carlson. And Hasselbeck saying, where's the flag? 0 for 10 on third down are the Seattle Seahawks today.
That's really interesting. The Oakland Raiders flipping the script. Who was it we were coming in talking about playing the great third down defense? The Seattle Seahawks. And the Oakland Raiders say, hey, we're pretty good as well.
So Ryan will punt it away to Miller. Driving kick inside the 10. Miller turning the corner. Boy, he gets flushed up there. Roy Lewis is all over it. Next week on Fox, got a good one for you. The Giants and the Seahawks. Giants taking a long trip. And some people say the Giants, John, are the best team in the NFC. You call it. Maybe they can figure it out then. It all starts with the Ford pregame show at 12 Eastern.
You're asking me the best team in the NFC. It's the Giants right now, playing incredible football. Eli Manning playing great. You talk about a front four on defense. OCU, Manura, Justin Tuck dominating football.
They've got a habit going lately of giving opposing quarterbacks concussion. First and 10 run there. That's Michael Bush, and Bush maybe for one. Colin Cole on the tackle.
Colin Cole has been outstanding. We mentioned Red Bryant earlier being so stout in the run. They're playing without Red Bryant. But Colin Cole has been just as impressive this year from the nose position in the interior of that defensive line. Very productive. Came into today with 25 tackles, playing outstanding football for the Seattle Seahawks defense.
Second down and 9. Campbell tried to go to the pump and go on the outside, looking for Ford, but it was well covered. Let's go to Los Angeles for an update with Kurt Menefee.
And we'll send it down to San Diego, where the Chargers are trying to keep hope alive. Phillip Rivers hooking up with Antonio Gates for his league-leading 9th touchdown reception. The 48-yarder puts the Chargers on top of the Titans, 24-19 in the second half. John in the show.
Kurt, I've been on the wrong end of that connection before. Those guys are good, Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates.
What they say, John, as long as you've got a quarterback, you've got a chance. Right. 3rd and 9. In the air, picked off by a Raider. That's Bush. And Bush lumbers all the way down to the Seahawks 30-yard line.
There's an old saying, Ronnie, when it's going good, it's going good. Last week in Denver, putting up 59 points, it seemed like everything was falling their way, but I believe you make your own breaks. Watch the deflection on the slant route, but a hustling Michael Bush says, look what I got.
John, I've never seen a ball tip that far and touch that many guys before finally being corralled by the same team.
The immaculate reception there with Franco Harris.
That brought back shades of that, right? It's one man touched by Ford. Bush holds on, and there's a flip play in McFadden. McFadden down inside the 10-yard line, tackled by Hawthorne.
Talk about Darren McFadden. They've got a great compliment to him and Michael Bush, but this is their factor back. This is their stud. He showed up again today. The Seattle defense playing him tight early on, but you could see he was about to break it. Sure enough, here it came. Darren McFadden, a big-time back, really coming to his own this year for the Oakland Raiders.
First and goal. McFadden looking for the end zone, works down to the 4-yard line.
You know, Ron, we talked about it coming in today in the open. Which Raiders team is going to show up? They were somewhat convinced that this might have been the game to turn the corner, to get over that hump, and you just watch them play. The physical nature of that play, the finish by Darren McFadden. You're starting to see things that good teams do well in this Oakland Raiders. And I got to give Tom Cable all the credit in the world for his leadership with this team.
McFadden again. A late marker there. He works down to about the 3-yard line.
Offense number 76, 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
They catch the left guard, Robert Gallery. But John, regardless of how this thing turns out, one of the plays that will always be talked about in this game for the Raiders is that throw on 4th and 1 to Marcel Reese, their fullback, on a slant route.
And I got to tell you, I was sitting up here going, what are you doing? And then, you know, it turned out pretty good. Marcel Reese has been big. But Jason Campbell's just a different guy here these last 2 weeks. And Hugh Jackson ought to keep giving him pep talks because he's playing some great football.
Well, he was different when he came into the meeting.
Yeah, the way he
had
carried
a
himself.
swagger, right?
You noted that. I noted it. It was just, it was clear.
So a timeout called by the Raiders as they talk things over here.
Talk about the execution of these Oakland Raiders. I want to show you a play from last week. They talk about hats on hats. Watch this left side of the offensive line. Robert Gallery, Jared Valtier, Zach Miller, Cooper Carlisle kicks out. Now I think our producer Chuck McDonald could run in with that hole right. Robert Gallery and this offensive line are doing, and you see Darren McFadden with the great yards, but you got to give the credit to the guys up front. Tom Cable, an ex-offensive line coach, riding those guys. When we asked him about Gallery and Valtier, he said he's a very understated guy. He said they're pretty good. And that means they're great in his mind.
McFadden over the 100-yard mark. 4 100-yard rushing games now in the last 5. Second and goal pass, the dump off. McFadden, what a stiff arm. Lowers his shoulder, he's still going. And that's what we mean about the new McFadden and the low pad level. And that will be the end of the the third quarter, with the Raiders threatening to pour it on even more. We'll be back after this. Ron Pitts, John Lynch, Nichelle Turner. We start the fourth quarter here in Oakland. And if you were with us on that last run by McFadden, you just saw nastiness at its finest. He put the stiff arm, lowered his shoulder. He did everything on that play except get into the end zone. 130 total yards for McFadden. He is outproducing the Seahawks offense. They have 118 total.
Just a dominant effort on both sides by the Oakland Raiders. You see 118 total yards given up by their defense, 400 total yards on offense. This is dominant football for the second week in a row for the Oakland Raiders.
Looking at a 3rd and 4. 3rd and goal to be exact. Looking slant, goes to the outside. Kind of threw that one away, intended for Johnny Lee Higgins. Well covered by the Seahawks secondary. So once again, the Seahawks hold the Raiders to a field goal try.
Yeah, and that's been big for the Seattle Seahawks. Even if they do execute the field goals, the Oakland Raiders, you still have a 2-score game with the 2-point conversions, keeping it at 16-0. And that's one thing the Raiders haven't done well today, is finish these drives with touchdowns.
Janikowski misses on his last attempt. This is 22 yards out. Pounds it through, no flags. So the Raiders with a nice drive, some crazy play, but they'll add to their score.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Visa. More people go with Visa. By Corona, who invites you to find your beach. And by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty.
It's a Halloween show here in Oakland, and so far it's been all the Raiders' treat. They add to their lead 16-0. Another one out of the end zone. This one might go in the stands. Lionel Washington just took off running toward the sideline as soon as the ball was kicked. For injury updates, let's go down to Nichelle Turner.
Hey guys, I got a twofer for you. First of all, Nnamdi Asomugha from the Raiders. We're told he banged up his wrist a little bit, but he's going back in. In fact, he's out there now. And Golden Tate from the Seattle Seahawks has a left ankle injury. We're told his return is doubtful, but I have to tell you guys, he did get his ankle wrapped, and he's been on that sideline working hard trying to get back in the game. Back to you.
My correction, Leon Washington running off the field. They're 1st and 10, throwing the ball up deep, looking for Dion Butler, and it's just out of reach.
That's another ball. I mean, the old Tom Landry thing, right? If it touches your hands, you catch the football. Dion Butler all day long has been having these balls come off his hands, and Matt Hasselbeck told us in the call this week, Dion Butler's got to come alive. He's not doing it thus far today. Need some of that Fred Biletnikoff stick-em on those hands.
2nd down and 10. Knocked away by Rolando McClain. McClain was really in tune with it. I think he could have stepped in front of it and picked it off.
But this is a guy they're excited about, and they have every right to be excited about Rolando McClain, the young rookie out of Alabama. Nick Saban calls him the smartest football player he's ever coached. That's high praise from a guy like Nick Saban.
Yeah, he was fucking brilliant.
John Marshall's defense with John Marshall, the Raiders defensive coordinator, has been dialing up some good ones here today. Thus far, blanking the Seahawks. Trying to pump. It's not there. That's picked off. A marker goes down at midfield. It's Huff. Brings it inside the 30, and another marker goes down.
I think they're going to get Stanford route in the slot for illegal contact on Brandon Stokely.
Before the pass was thrown, illegal contact defense, number 26. The 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Seattle keeps the ball. 1st down.
You're right, John. They get route.
But that's all right. I mean, that's going to come when you're playing tough, physical, in-your-face defense. That's going to come. And you know what? Lionel Washington, the great DB coach, and Kevin Ross for these Oakland Raiders, they'll take that because they want their guys out there competing. It's been very successful, and it's paid dividends today. And if you're going to give up 1 first down, that's okay.
And if you watch them, they brought back a lost start, which is the bump and run. Watch Asomugha up top. Man to man. And there's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Asomugha working on Golden Tate, but it all starts with the bump at the line of scrimmage.
Matt Hasselbeck said he's got the best left-hand jam in the league, and there it is. Throws that left arm. He's so long. And Golden Tate, he's just not right on that ankle right now, where maybe he could adjust and make a play.
Asomugha, 6'2", very long arm, tall player. Much in the vein of former Raider Mike Haynes. 2nd and 10. Hasselbeck in trouble, and he goes down. Cameron Wembley is there, along with Kelly. 5th sack of the day on Hasselbeck.
Let's watch Cameron Wembley working up top, and he's been very proficient at these little games with Richard Seymour. They work well as a tandem. Ronnie, we got to sit down with him. He's an impressive player, an impressive man. He's playing at a high level all year long for the Oakland Raiders.
3rd down and 11. It's complete. That's Forsett, but he's well short of the 1st down, but a long marker comes in. John, you think maybe a face mask, huh?
Came from the back end.
Yeah,
it's Don Carey in the back end.
Back of the helmet is what it is there. But let's see what they call.
On the tackle, the defender grabbed the back of the runner's helmet. That's a personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. 15-yard penalty. First down.
I got to tell you, Don Carey's an excellent back judge, but I don't know what they want these players to do anymore. This is football, and he may be calling the rule just like it's supposed to, but this is football, and you try to tackle one of these guys. Justin Forset's an elusive guy. Sometimes you got to do whatever you got to do to make that tackle. And no offense to Don Carey, but come on.
So that saves the drive for the Seahawks. They'll keep throwing it, going deep, looking for Branch. Butler, and it's intercepted. Tyvon Branch, another tip. The first interception of the season for Branch. During the break, Pete Carroll challenged that last play. The ball was thrown to Deon Butler, but it looks from here, John, as though it never really touches the ground.
I don't think it does. I think Pete Carroll needs to challenge it at this point in the game. Great play by Stanford Routt, first of all, but look at the ball. Kind of cradled in Deon Butler's hands and arms and never touches the ground. Great hustle by Tyvon Branch, continuing to play the play out. I don't think Pete Carroll's going to like the outcome of this replay.
Boy, and Branch, you know, talk about heads up. I mean, heads up plays by two guys there, by Routt, and then Branch is right there. And John, you know, playing safety back there, you're geared up to maybe make a hit, but then all of a sudden, here's the ball.
There's a guy in Green Bay, Leroy Butler, who'd always come up with about 2 or 3 of those a year. I got to be honest, you know, Tom Cable said last week he felt like this was the best collectively this secondary had played in his time as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. I think they may have just beat it here today. They've been competing all day long. Seattle Seahawks and Matt Hasselbeck have taken their shots downfield, and they haven't backed off a bit. Tight, aggressive coverage by this secondary. Just outstanding football.
John, the Seahawks have been banged up this week. 7 players listed as questionable during the middle of the week. A season-high 9 players sat out practice on Wednesday, including 6 starters. Yeah, you hate to make excuses, but injuries this part of the year do happen, and they do affect the game.
Ronnie, and you know, going into the New York Giants next week, you got Golden Tate out here limping. You got Mike Williams, who has sprained his knee. It's not getting any better. This is a banged-up football team.
Here comes Ed Hockley with a decision.
Seattle challenged the ruling on the field of the interception. After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver had his hands under the ball. The ball bounced up in the air and was intercepted. It is therefore the Raiders' ball, first down. Seattle is charged with a timeout.
Again, Stanford Routt tips it up. Deon Butler cradles it with his arms. Ball never touches the ground. And good call by Ed Hockley. Great play by Tyvon Branch.
Branch was picked on earlier in the year, went back to Tennessee, had a couple bad plays, a couple missed tackles, bad angles. He was a goat for a while, but comes up with a big play there. A man wide open, Bay, and he'll score. No flags down.
Darius Hayward-Bay, watch the patience on this route, Ronnie. He's going to sell the curl, and then he's going to spin and out the door. Great route by Darius Hayward-Bay, a guy that they sorely needed to step up today, and he has in a big way. Great ball by Jason Campbell.
69 yards, Nate Ness on the coverage. The extra point is clean, and as they say, when it rains, it pours. Well, it's pouring all over Seattle right now. The silver and black in full effect.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network.
The first touchdown of the year for Hayward-Bay, only the second of his career. And you look at the big plays on offense today for the Raiders. Leon Washington will actually get a chance to return one. Wasn't kicked out of the stadium. He's got a lane. There goes Leon Washington. And Washington with a great return across the 50-yard line.
Ronnie, you don't think this was an important game for Leon Washington? This is where Leon Washington, then of the New York Jets, broke his leg last year, made a miraculous return this year, out and playing productive football. But I think the story in this game is the total domination by the Oakland Raiders. Total offense for the Raiders, 469 yards, 117 for the Seattle Seahawks.
45 yards on that return by Washington. Forsett down to the Raiders' 45-yard line. Down to Los Angeles, a game break, and Kurt Menefee.
Everyone was concerned about Brett Favre's ankle, but it was a shot to the jaw that literally knocked him out of the game in New England. He has been carted off and taken to the locker room. Very first play, Tavares Jackson in to replace him. Finds Nafahu Tahi for a touchdown and two-point conversion. Is 21-18 right now. New England on top. Ron?
All right, Kurt. Definitely big news there going against the Vikings and Brett Favre. That's Forsett. And there's an injured Seahawk. And I can't quite see the number there. Oh, that's Columbus, the left tackle, who got the start today for the injury to Russell Okung.
Another player they can ill afford to lose, as you mentioned, Ron. They've already lost Russell Okung. Watch Tyler Columbus.
That's a fall on there.
The end of this play, ouch. Kind of the same thing that happened to his teammate Red Bryant on defense earlier today.
All a part of another rough day here for the Seahawks. And the road issues have been an issue for the Seahawks. They're just 3-14 in road games versus the AFC, I should point out, since 2002. They're helping up Columbus there, and he's able to at least put some weight on it. That's good news.
I think now Chester Pitts, who came in at left guard, is going to shift out to left tackle.
And that might be, let's see how they mark it. If Seattle gets this, that'll be the first down conversion of the day. That's the first conversion on third down today for the Seahawks. 1 of 12. That's what I was just mentioning, that road record. Hasselbeck down, ball is out. I think he was down, though. Lamar Houston around the corner as Hasselbeck stepped up.
You know, the impressive part of this win thus far, much like Denver last week, you talk to a lot of the players, you talk to Tom Cable, the head coach, is that they did not let their foot off the throat. They kept playing, and they're doing that again today. Impressive play by the Oakland Raiders.
That was close to whether or not it was a fumble, but they get the play off, so it won't matter. That's Forsett. And McLean right there in the hole.
Ron, I think what you're seeing the development of a football team, learning how to win. And the Raiders so often in the past were always so talented, but the consistency just lacked. And now you've got a team who's got an edge. They feel like they've got a formula. And watch out, rest of the AFC, because these guys are playing on fire.
Leon Washington checks in now at the halfback spot. Going up deep. It's caught but out of bounds. Nope, let's see how they mark it. That's Golden Tate. And Asamoah is hurt. Namdi is in serious pain, grabbing that right ankle, lower leg. Maybe the foot.
Earlier today, it was Golden Tate who rolled his ankle on a deep ball. And now let's watch Namdi. Watch the right ankle. Ooh. Ouch. Watch that right ankle one more time on this last step. Just a quick little torque of that ankle. Namdi Asamoah. You know, coming into this game, Mike Williams said this is the best corner in the NFL. I've got my own opinions, but he's strengthening Mike Williams. You know, I think the one thing about Namdi, he doesn't have the interceptions some of the guys like Champ Bailey have. Champ's up there towards 50. Namdi has 11 in his career. But a lot of that's because he's playing press man the entire game. Champ plays it more off, but this guy's an outstanding football player. That's one thing I'll give him, and if not the best, right there along with Revis.
Look at Tom Cable, and with the white hair back there. Don Marshall, the defensive coordinator, there he is. Director Peter Bleckner giving us a nice shot there. And Asamoah, former first-round pick, John, one of 7 Cal Bears on the field today. See a lot of those Cal guys around the NFL. And you talk about injuries, yeah, this would be a huge injury. You saw what he was able to do just in the bump and run area. For all intents and purposes, taking guys out of the game at the line of scrimmage.
Carroll even talked about Namdi this week. He said he's the perfect press corner and a welcome sight for Raiders fans as he starts to get up here.
Let me keep everyone abreast of the situation here, at least for the division now. The Raiders trying to keep pace with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are in first place. A win today by the Chiefs, so they've moved 2 games up, but the Raiders with a win will stay within a game, and they'll have Kansas City here at home next week. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, they will see the Giants next week at home, and there's a quick look at the AFC West.
My old coach Tony Dungy used to talk about division games. They count double. Well, you've got the if you're the Oakland Raiders, you've got Kansas City, who's on top, coming to your place. You can make up some ground here next week, and having Namdi Asamoah healthy is going to be critical in trying to do that.
Jeremy Ware will come in now for Asamoah.
Moving Michael Huff out to cornerback.
And he's got corner skills,
Yeah,
played a little bit in Texas. This is 4th down. And they go to that side. The man we're talking about, Huff, and Mike Williams with his first catch of the day over Huff for a 1st down.
You know what I like, though? You're going to move your safety out to corner. Are you going to back him off? No, you're going to press him right up there, and you're going to make it tough. Mike Williams, as you mentioned, gets his first catch of the game with 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter. This is a guy who's caught 21 balls in the last 2 weeks. One thing you've got to give credit to is Matt Hasselbeck. He's been delivering the ball on the spot the entire game. It was one of the few catches, though, where they did their job on the receiving corps.
Pressure backside, down goes Hasselbeck. Got 7 sacks on the day against Hasselbeck, and that's Matt Shaughnessy.
You're going to see Chester Pitts, who's now moved out with Columbus hurt at the left tackle. And Matt Shaughnessy Says, all right, you're coming back from injury, playing a new position. I'm going to go to work on you, and just a simple bull rush and gets Matt Hasselbeck, who has no chance.
Second and long. That throw a little short. Forsett going up the sideline. I'm not sure if Hasselbeck expected him to stop and they were going to throw it back door, but nonetheless, it's incomplete. And John, we haven't seen Marshawn Lynch in the game in a while.
I think they're in hurry-up mode, pass mode. Forsett's typically their third down back.
Third and 17.
Remember, you're in four-down territory. They're probably going to go for it on fourth down, so if you can get at least half here, it's important.
Boy, they have just destroyed this offensive line and Matt Hasselbeck. Seymour and Kelly. Wembley's there as well.
Tommy Kelly and Richard Seymour in here in the middle. Watch them just dominate the line of scrimmage. Tommy Kelly with a great jump. Gets past Stacey Andrews. These interior defensive linemen, in my mind, set the tone along with the defensive backs for the Raiders. Total domination by the Raiders D.
So on fourth down, they'll try to settle for the field goal, 47 yards. And straight. It's long enough. It's good. So finally, in the fourth quarter, the Seahawks get on the board. We've got a 23-3 game. 20-point game. 8:57 here in the fourth quarter. And I guess the good news for Seahawks fans, at least they've got some points on the board and to avoid the shutout. Now they need a quick turnover. There's your quick turnover attempt, but it's recovered by the Raiders. And he's still going. Stevie Brown, even though I heard a whistle, Stevie Brown scores. And they're discussing it at the 40-yard line.
Got a penalty on the other side of the field as well.
Looked like offsides on the kickoff, but you know, they could probably call that one half the time anyway.
The ball was recovered by the Raiders. The runner was ruled down by contact. There was also an offside by the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced where the ball was recovered. Raiders ball, first down.
This looks like a Pop Warner kickoff here, John.
You look up,
you get a guy. Whoa, that's
the
close.
offsides right there.
Yeah.
See the down by contact. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the bigger part of it because they could always decline the penalty if they got the score, but it was blown dead. But the big story here, Raiders retain possession here, or get possession with great field possession. And the workhorse all day long, that's McFadden. And McFadden for a couple. Let's go down to Nichelle Turner for an update on Asamoah.
Hey guys, yeah, the injuries keep coming in this game. Nnamdi Asamoah, we're told, has a right ankle injury. He is done for the day. I am told, guys, that he is going to get some x-rays on that. He was really in pain. Back to you.
All right, Nichelle, thank you very much. And as John has already mentioned, that would be a huge loss for the big division game against the Chiefs coming up next week. Second out and 8. Seahawks pointing movement on the line there. They don't get the call. That's McFadden again on the right side. For an update in Los Angeles, the Vikings and the Pats. Let's check in with Kurt.
Ben Jarvis Greenhouse goes flying into the end zone. They reviewed it. It was a touchdown. 112 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing for Greenhouse. New England up by 10. Less than 2 minutes left. Ron and John?
All right, Kurt, thank you. See Brady's numbers on the day. 23-3 here. The Seahawks desperately need the football. Third and 5 throw going to the end zone. Just out of reach for Hayward Bay. That'll bring on 4th down, and they'll go for a field goal.
You know, Ron, that was a miss there to Hayward Bay, but a big development that came out of this game as well for the Oakland Raiders, aside from being up 23-3, is the fact that Darius Hayward Bay has established himself now. Lewis Murphy went out. Sometimes that's the best thing that can happen to a young receiver who needs to get going. The number 1 goes out, I got to pick up my game, and he certainly has done that thus far today.
49 yards out. It didn't look pretty, but it went through. That's one of those 3 feet high and rising shots. Last night, game 3 of the World Series. It ended up being a good one. The Texans got the win, and we'll have game 4 tonight following football. The pitching matchup, Madison Bumgarner along with Tommy Hunter. They'll go at it. San Francisco last night in a must-win situation.
Texas was in a much-win situation, and Mitch Moreland picked them up. Ronnie, my former roommate when I played with the Florida Marlins, Edgar Renteria's been a big part of this series thus far.
So 7:18 here to play. 26-3 Raiders. That's right, John. You threw out the first pitch for the Florida Marlins. Can you still throw that deuce? Can you throw that curveball?
Throw a lot of BP to the baseball team I coach in the offseason, but that's about it these days.
This ball into the end zone. 4 into the end zone on the day for Janikowski. Ron Pitts, John Lynch. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew it was going to be that slugging game, that game about defense. 2 highly ranked teams there, and it's been that type of game. A lot of crazy plays, though, John, and some gutsy calls there by the Raiders early on.
Well, there has been, and there's been domination by the Raiders. We said in the open which Oakland Raiders football team was going to show up on this Halloween, and the good one showed up here today. This is a team who's playing outstanding football, and very impressive what they've done here today.
The handoff inside Washington. A marker goes down.
Offsides, defense, number 91. The penalty is declined. The play results in a 1st down.
That's Trevor Scott, the DN.
One thing you know about Matt Hasselbeck, Ron, there's no quit in him. He's going to play right till the end, and you're seeing him up tempo trying to get points on the board.
That ball nearly intercepted by Huff. Huff, who is now playing man-to-man corner, coming down from the safety spot.
You got a safety out at corner. What do you got to do? You got to play physical. And Mike Williams has been struggling with that bump and run all day. Maybe you attribute it to his knee being hurt, but I don't know. Mike Williams has not got the job done for the Seattle Seahawks today.
Draw on 2nd down, Washington. And Washington with a few on the right side. Desmond Bryant with the tackle.
Michael Huff came in here out of Texas in the 1st round back in 06, the number 7 pick in the draft. Really starting to figure out his way at the safety position.
And another sack on Hasselbeck. Richard Seymour. You know, we asked Richard Seymour an interesting question earlier in the year about, you think you're Hall of Fame player. I mean, it seemed like a slam dunk. He says, no, I'm not. And we were surprised. And he went on to say, I need to do it out here. When you can do it at another team, then you get those creds.
And he's doing it. You watch today, I mentioned earlier, I think that's where it started. In the domination in the interior of that defensive line led the charge. Richard Seymour, a Hall of Famer in my book, to be sure.
Miller racing up. He had thoughts on that one. Up 26-3 with 6 minutes left. I think you should cancel those thoughts on a 29-yard punt. And the pressure has been all over Matt Hasselbeck today.
They came from the beginning, they came early, they came often, and they're still coming. Richard Seymour, everything up the middle, it seems. Off the edge, Matt Shaughnessy, Matt Hasselbeck competing, but not having much of a chance as the Oakland Raiders have been all over them.
Bush at the tailback spot. He'll get the call, all 245 pounds, as the Raiders try to grind this thing out. Tutupu on the tackle. John, you just saw a shot on the defensive line there. And, you know, as well as the secondary has played for the Raiders, you can talk about corners all you want to and safety, but we know it comes down to that pass rush.
It starts up front, there's no doubt about it. I was the beneficiary of it early in my career out at Tampa, and I went to Denver, and I said, how come I'm having to cover a little longer out here? That taught me the lesson that it starts up front better than anything.
Always said, show me a Pro Bowl corner, and I'll show you a Pro Bowl pass rush. In most cases, 2nd and 9. Play is stopped.
False start, offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
That's Gallery.
And if there's a weakness on this Oakland Raiders team, it's still the discipline in the penalties. And you aren't seeing a lot of personal fouls. You saw that one with McLean, but not much he can do there. It's a lot of pre-snap ones that are fixable, but they need to fix them because in a tight football game, those will kill you. That needs to be addressed.
2nd and long. That's Bush again. And Bush playing with pins in his thumb. Broke his thumb in the preseason. Was out the first couple of weeks.
Ronnie, how about this offensive line of the Oakland Raiders? We saw them dominate in Denver last week. Well, they weren't just rested on their laurels today. This offensive line paved the way for 478 yards to this point, 172 rush yards, only 2 sacks allowed. This offensive line the last 2 weeks playing as good as any unit in the National Football League.
And Bush again. You figured after a while he was going to pop one, and he does. He stays in bounds. That's very smart. And that's a 29-yard first down.
We talk about the offensive line. This is the unbalanced. That's Jared Valdir, the left tackle. They get 1,000 pounds of beef on that side of the ball when they go to that unbalanced line. It's something that's been very effective. But a great job by Hugh Jackson, this offensive staff. It's one thing that jumps out at you. You look at this offensive staff, you see legendary names like Ted Tollner and Paul Hackett.
Yeah.
And a young guy like Hugh Jackson, you combine that with Tom Cable, this is one heck of an offensive staff for the Raiders.
They switch it up, and they go to Reese, and Reese is looking for the end zone. Reese down to the 3-yard line.
You can talk about the great coaching, but that's just, as we mentioned all day long, whooping them at the line of scrimmage. This offensive line, once again, dominated the line of scrimmage. Marcel Reese making the fullback position sexy here today, catching slant routes, running the football. Marcel Reese becoming a big part of this offense in recent weeks.
Explosive plays, another one, 31 yards for Reese. Bush trying to turn the corner, chopped down quickly. Nice play in the backfield there by Trufant. Back-to-back wins would be huge for the Raiders. They haven't had that in a while. Something else they haven't had in a while. 3 consecutive wins in a row. Upcoming games, we talked about Kansas City, and of course they would love to go into that game or into the bye with a win against Kansas City and one step closer to a share of the division. And that is the 2-minute warning. Raiders trying to put a cap on this one. Under the 2-minute warning, 26-3 Raiders. The give to Bush, and Bush is in the end zone for a touchdown.
You see Michael Bush do the Raider Nation's version of the Lambeau Leap. And I tell you what, this offensive line, they've just worn this Seattle defense out today. Remember, coming in, this was the 2nd-ranked run defense in the National Football League. And the Raiders have said, we're going to take our strength against your strength. And the Raiders' strength has won out.
4th touchdown of the year for Bush.
As a result of the injury, inside the last 2 minutes, Seattle is charged with their 2nd timeout.
That's Colin Cole, the injured Seahawk, and I don't know if you just heard Ed Hockley, as a result of the injury, inside of 2 minutes, a charged timeout. And John, one of the things that Pete Carroll talked to us about this week was when we go on the road, we have to get turnovers. We've got to get takeaways, in other words, and they haven't had that today.
No, and they've been very proficient at getting takeaways at home. Coming into the game, 13 total takeaways. 12 of those were at home at Quest Field up there in Seattle. Only 1 on the road. And Pete Carroll said, you know, you look at the keys as I'm looking at my board here. Number 1, stop the run. Haven't done that. Number 2, get them in 3rd and longs. Number 3, take our style on the road. Take the ball away on the road. Haven't done that either. And they have a philosophy in Seattle. It's all about the ball. And Pete Carroll says back to SC, when we took the ball away, 55-0 when we won the turnover ratio. And that's their philosophy. It's what they've been winning football games, and it bit them here today.
You quickly saw as Cole limps off the Seahawks' upcoming schedule. They'll go with the Giants next week. Then 2 big games away from home. We've got Arizona at Arizona. 2 quick ones back-to-back with Arizona there in a short time. And then at New Orleans in the 3rd week of that span. So we're waiting for Cole to limp off the field.
And Ron, the impressive thing right now, you look at the Raiders right now, 545 yards, 508 in Denver last week. I mean, putting up 500 yards is something that's difficult to do. You do every couple of years, and in successive weeks, putting up 500 yards, that's extremely impressive.
That's the point clean by Janikowski. Let's go to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, a not-so-gentle programming reminder that Game 4 of the World Series comes your way later on tonight here on Fox. Josh Hamilton's home run, part of the Rangers' win in Game 3. But still, Cody Ross and the Giants have a 2-1 lead as they get ready for Game 4. It immediately follows the OT, which follows all of our football coverage tonight, only on Fox. For now, back to Oakland and Ron, John, and the show.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. 33-3 here. With 1:56 to play.
And I think if you're the Raiders, everything positive today. We talked about the penalties. You can clean that up. I think the one concern going into next week in the locker room right now, checking on that ankle, you sure would love to have him against the Chiefs. Now, the one thing is the Chiefs aren't really a passing football team. They don't utilize their wide receivers as much as some teams. And you have that bye the following week, but they need Nnamdi Asomugha healthy.
Washington now, he's to the point where he just watches the ball go over his head. Another touchback for Janikowski.
Janikowski, I believe, had 8 touchbacks in Denver last week. And people were saying, well, it's the rarefied air. Nuh-uh. It's that guy's leg.
So the Seahawks make a change at quarterback. They figure this one's all but done. Whitehurst, Charlie Whitehurst will check in. Brought in the trade this year from the San Diego Chargers, 50-year man out of Clemson. He'll hand it off to Washington. Washington will get a couple.
Leon Washington.
Today's game is produced by Chuck McDonald and directed by Peter Bleckner. The associate director is Art Durazo. The broadcast associate is Brady Ricci. The technical producer is Steve Doyle. The studio was produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. The associate director is Stephanie Medina, and the highlights coordinator is Janice Kasasha. The studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons, and my statistician, Mitch Smith, and spotter, Chris Taylor. Thank you very much, everyone, for all your help today. And John, if you're Pete Carroll now, what do you tell your team going back home?
Well, you're going to have to lift their spirits, and that's something Pete Carroll's very good at, motivating his football team. But this is a devastating loss in a lot of ways. You got some players injured, the receiving core and Red Bryant on the D-line. But you're going to have to repair the psyche of this team as they came down to Oakland and just took a drubbing.
There's a toss to Washington. He tries to get a couple for Oakland. This is the largest margin of victory over the Seattle Seahawks since the first game of the rivalry back in '77. When the Seahawks were an expansion team.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Raider Reaction Black Friday Silver and Black Theater.
Can we do it back to back? And
let's beat them bitch pigeons this weekend. We're out. Peace,
Denver.
love.
They came back
Raider Nation.
Did it in convincing fashion. An outstanding win by Tom Cable.